for Toronto Hydro. That number again, she does stress be patient, 416-542-8000. You choose the first prompt, and you'll get a recording. You can stay on the line to speak to somebody. And yes, you recognize that there's a lot of frustration with people who are at work trying to find out if their houses have heat yet so that they can go home and turn on the furnace. Now, there's also been a warning for the thousands of residents who are still affected by this, which is make sure you take care of your water pipes. The pipes in your house can freeze if the temperatures dip too low. Austin Sakopoulos is the owner of Priority Plumbing in the city's West End, and he joins me now. Austin, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Kevin.
You're right in the affected area. Have you been getting a lot of calls today from people? Obviously, that's a yes.
Oh, absolutely. The phone's been off the hook here.
And have you had to go and do any emergency work?
Oh, that's all we're doing. We put everything on hold, and we're just trying to help as many people as possible at this point.
So people have had pipes breaking?
Oh, we've seen some real disasters, Kevin.
What kind of things?
Oh, we've seen people who have had large volumes of water pouring out of their walls and ceilings, or right into their living rooms, bedrooms, just real home disasters.
Now, has that been happening just because of the cold temperatures, or have there been some that have been related to this power outage as well?
Well, being a resident of the West End myself, I'm right in the thick of things. I haven't had power myself since about 9 o'clock last night, and yes, I have noticed a larger volume of calls. And it's only natural that it would.
Why do these things crack and break in this weather?
Well, there's a number of reasons. I mean, not to get into too many, but the most common, to tell you the truth, is that primarily they're not installed properly in the first place by a reputable company with a written guarantee, so that they'll stand behind it. And they're generally run along the outside walls, uninsulated walls. So what happens is, just in regular cold temperatures, they can freeze, but now coupled with the inside of the house not being warm, it just makes matters a lot worse.
Now, what are some of the biggest mistakes people make when it comes to maintaining these pipes?
Once they're behind the wall, it's kind of hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's really one of those things that you need to have them installed properly. But what I can tell you, what people can do to avoid problems is what I think a lot of what's been going on throughout the day is the big message has been prevention, I believe. And one thing that we promote very heavily is prevention. And anyone who's interested can go to my website. It's priorityplumbing.ca. We'll answer all questions, but we're offering the first 15 people a complete free home analysis, and we can answer all questions and get people prepared for these type of things.
Well, now, the city is telling people to run their taps on a slow leak at the lowest level in their house. Is that what people should be doing?
Yes, it depends on the circumstances. I certainly wouldn't leave my home and leave the water running. I would, if I was, what I did with my home, because I obviously had to come to work, I shut the system down, I drained it, and as long as your system is up to code, you would be able to effectively drain every part of it. Now, if you're going to be staying home, running the water is a good idea, but you'd have to monitor it to make sure that the water, doesn't freeze and stop, because what can happen is, I know that a lot of the advice being given was to run the water in the basement, but what I believe would be an even more effective method would be to run the water sort of in maybe several different areas, because if you run the water just in the basement, it is possible that perhaps a second floor bathroom could freeze.
Oh, okay. So get all the taps going at least at a little bit of a rate.
I would, maybe 2 different areas of the home.
Okay. Yeah. Now, we were doing a phone-in an hour ago, and somebody asked an intriguing question to us, which was, what do you do with radiators? You can't really drain those, can you?
Well, you can, but when you're looking, people who don't know what to do when you're looking at a heating system, it can be very, very, scary thing to try to start tampering with. It can be drained. If you know what you're doing, you definitely need to shut the power off to it. I mean, at this point, you'd have no problem, but you wouldn't want the power kicking back on and firing up your boiler. And, unless you'd have safety devices, which not everybody does, to prevent that, you could have a problem. So you'd want to shut the thermostat all the way down, and then you can hook up a hose. There is a drain, but again, if you don't know what you're doing, I wouldn't suggest I would suggest calling a professional.
Call a plumber in that situation, because radiators, I mean, if they do kick on, you can have scalding, you can have all sorts of problems with those things.
Yeah, exactly. That's a much more expensive problem.
Are they in danger of breaking, just like the pipes, though?
Oh, yes, they are.
So definitely something to keep in mind. Austin, thanks very much for talking to us today.
My pleasure, Kevin.
That is Austin Sokopoulos. He's the owner of Priority Plumbing in the city's West End. It's interesting, he was giving some different advice from the city there. We actually did try to phone the city for a clarification, but nobody was available to speak with us. But he was suggesting not just in your basement, but have a couple different taps with the water trickling out so that it doesn't freeze on the second floor, especially when it's so cold and the power has been out for so long. Jim Curran joins